Okay, it's called SI/ITM workshop. Hi, Mihua. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see me?
Oh, yeah, I can see you.
Okay, I will share the screen with you, see it work. So we are about to start the session. And it's the first session in the morning, so some people may come in late. Let me start the sharing of the screen. The ITM tool seems to be working well, so hopefully everything works.
I tested. Somehow the published projects will save and published to not show. Did you test it?
I can publish it, and yesterday I tested, so I can publish a new project, not editing any existing.
Okay.
Don't touch any existing project. So new project, I think probably there's some conflict in the content. So if you're editing an existing one, okay, let's see. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Screen no. Oh, no, I can see it.
Okay.
I lost the screen again.
You don't see the screen anymore?
Yeah, the screen disappeared.
It's probably because I played the present.
It was there.
Let me show this without.
So you can go to the live session on the Google Hangouts. I'll be projecting the.
Do you have a live
slides.
session?
Yeah, and she goes on the Summer Institute site. She can access the live broadcast of the. There's a delay though, maybe a 1 minute delay. So
1 minute delay.
Maybe
Okay. Okay, let's see.
Sorry.
Can you see the screen now?
No.
No? Okay, let's start. Let's give another try. Do you see the sharing?
Not yet. Maybe it's coming up.
That's okay. You.
Yeah, I think. But it's not yeah, I can see it now.
Okay.
So now she sees.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's there. gone.
It's gone. Okay, every time I show the slide, the full screen
Oh, I see.
in PowerPoint, it's gone. So let me just keep it within,
Like that.
yeah, just like that.
It's okay if you are, I can.
Let's keep it
Okay,
this
now
way.
it's shown.
Yeah, okay, let's keep it this way. Okay, good morning, everyone. So, yeah, very early sessions. I hope that, after yesterday we had some fun in the city, you can still get up. Thanks for coming to the session. I really appreciate that the Summer Institute arranged this interactive session focusing on ideas brand mapper, so we have more time to share the details of the classroom work, the technology system, and the research finding. I guess most of you were here yesterday in the paper presentation, right? And anyone were not in the ITM presentation yesterday? Okay. So then if you still give just repeat something like the basics of ideas brand mapper, and then we can look at more details of the software and the classroom process. This research project was a collaboration. I'm Jianwei Zhang from the School of Education at University of Albany in New York. And I have been collaborating with my colleague from the Department of Computer Science, Professor Meihua Chen, and she's on Skype now. So if you have more have questions about the software design, the system structure, anything related to technology, she will be on Skype having conversation with us. And we also have Richard Messina and Elizabeth Moore from Dr. Eric Jackman Institute of Child Study, and have been doing the classroom experiment at JICS in the last several years. So how the school can really create the context, create the condition, how the teacher involved, and how we work together. So have questions about the implementation, we can ask them. So just give you, this is the basic plan, but this is meant to be interactive, so we can jump anywhere. We won't have to follow any sequence. So I will first maybe give you just a kind of almost a repetition of yesterday, just the basic introduction to ITM, and then we're going to. I think we have more time to see the details. One side is the software tool. So what's really inside Ideas Brand Mapper, and how student or how researcher can use it. Then more details of the classroom process, like how they really integrate this ITM-based meta discourse naturally in knowledge building project initiative. Then I want to share with you our next step, where we are going from here, and want to get some input from you about the system design, the next phase, and some research. Is that good? Okay. So just the basics. We said that the Ideas Brand Mapper, this work, really means to help the students develop a more sustained trajectory of knowledge building. So they not only contribute, diverse ideas, but see where the ideas are leading them. So they see the unfolding directions, unfolding trajectories in a content area, in a knowledge building initiative. What's the big things we try to understand? And are we making progress? What seem to be the next step in investigating or having a deeper understanding? So the Ideas Brand Mapper really mean to create a multi-level representation of collective knowledge. I think central to the theory and pedagogy of knowledge building is the concept of collective knowledge. But collective knowledge is not only a simple sum or a mix of the individual ideas. When the individual ideas really contribute to a discourse space, like Carl said in the 2002 book, the discourse of a community provides the window for us to see the growth of collective knowledge. But the discourse itself really needs some kind of structure to really show where how the collective knowledge is advancing. So to make the collective knowledge in the discourse more visible, so we need to create higher level representations. With the ongoing discourse represented in conversation in the knowledge form field, like this, posting a note, and then you have build-ons and build-ons. So the conversation spread out very quickly in 1 week or a few weeks. So ideas are contained in the discourse entries by individual members, sometimes the co-author, but by the members. At this level, the representation of knowledge is about one idea, or maybe a few ideas, contained in the discourse entry, contributed by one or a few members, but individuals. Mostly this process is posed by individuals. And then on top of this, we need a higher level representation to really see how the ideas coming together to address the important things that the community care about. So that's the idea thread, a line of inquiry, a line of research to investigate a shared problem, like how light travel, or how stars form, or how magnets work, depending on the different unit. And then we see that this is a larger unit of representation in the collective space. But this collective level is more of a line of work or area of work in the whole content area, typically contributed by a group of members or subgroup of members. It can be pre-organized. This happens to be like if I use fixed small group design, one group focusing on one subtopic in an area. So they all talk about the same topic. And then this area behind this line of work is a fixed small group pre-set up in the classroom by the teacher. Or sometimes it's based on interest that can be going. But this is oftentimes when the knowledge building community really operate well, we want to see more opportunistic groups. So they come together to investigate one topic because of their shared interests. Like, we all care about, there's so many stars, and not only care about the number of stars, but really, are the stars always there? And so how are they born? Like in the unit of astronomy we did a few years ago. So you see that this line of work, as a middle level, still above the ongoing discourse, is a middle level representation of a line of work, an area of work contributed by a subgroup of members. So this is a middle level, both in terms of cognitive as well as social. So the social and cognitive unit, one line of work investigating one shared problem by a subgroup of members. And then on top of this, we not only want to see the different groups operating, but they really need to operate as a whole community. So how the knowledge generated in different lines of work really come together and interconnect to advance understanding of the big topic or big area as a whole, like how light, the optics or astronomy. So we can further connect the different lines of work as clusters of the idea thread that represent the knowledge progress in the whole knowledge building initiative of our community. So you see the interconnected idea thread that can create a high-level representation. So this is the basic kind of conceptual design behind idea thread mapper, that we need upper-level representations of a collective knowledge to make the collective knowledge visible, socially, cognitively, as well as temporally. So how it really grows on the timeline. So it's the integration of the 3 different levels, as well as the different dimensions. The dimension of social, the dimension of cognitive, the dimension of temporal. So that's something, I think basically yesterday we talked about the design of idea thread mapper is to support ongoing metacognitive conversations about their conversations, knowledge building conversations, and to reflect on the big things they need to understand, the focal themes and areas, and then to envision the unfolding lines of work addressing the different themes, and then the gaps and the directions. So then through this process, they generate high levels of representations. So representation of knowledge progress as an idea thread, continuing.
There's be some little spots here. No, not this one. No. Okay, never mind.
And then the use journey of thinking, thread-based journey of thinking, to really to further make the progress in each area more visible. To look at what's the focal problem they are working on, the idea that we have learned, and we need to do more in the next step. What's the deeper things we need to investigate, and using through what kind of actions? Invite a speaker, we need more experiment on something, more reading on something. So it's on the kind of a journey of thinking synthesis for each line of work. And then it's the representation of the whole knowledge building initiative using the idea thread map to see the connections. So this is basically I'm kind of repeating what we presented yesterday as the foundation. So any question at this point before I move to the just kind of a demonstration of the software tool?
So in the demonstration, you're going to explain how those, like who does what, creating the idea thread map.
So that's more about the classroom process?
Well, it's sort of, who is operating the idea thread map?
Okay.
Creating it.
Okay. Then let's move on to let's show this slide first. So this slide first.
Joey, can you put that in presentation mode so that we can see it a little larger? Or no?
Try to see if we can full screen without play, because once I play, Mihua Chen on Skype cannot see the screen anymore. So it's kind of conflict there. Let's see, do you know if there are mode, like I can show this full screen?
Just the slider button down there, just put it bigger. Yeah. Maybe not that big,
but it cannot, there are way to, oh, I can hide, okay. I can hide the toolbars. Is that better? Yeah, thanks. So basically, the idea thread mapper, actually the first step when we, where this idea came from was actually, it came from our research analysis. When we as a researcher try to study the idea improvement in a community, like over several months. When we say idea improvement, it got to be some kind of a change in the discourse that really show that idea has been improved. And then we can see the pattern, like when we say improve, is that because of the understanding they presented, or is that because of the level of question they start to explore? So we need to put the ideas, contributing in the conversation on the timeline and see how it has changed. So back in 2004, when I did the postdoc with Marlene and Carl, I test different kind of ways to map out the change of ideas in the unit of light, did by Richard Messina years ago. So when we see that, it's hard to compare the ideas when they are really all mixed together. That's about rainbow. This is about mirrors. How can we compare the quality of idea about rainbow to an idea about rainbow? So it's got to be something like find a structure to index idea. So that's why I decided to use basically the object of activity to trace the idea change. So what they are really working on, the object of knowledge building. So we identify the different kind of topics of the problem of understanding related to shadows, related to mirrors, related to rainbows, and then we can identify all the discourse contributions really talking about that problem, and then put them on the timeline so that we can trace and look at how they have changed. When the area of inquiry start to emerge, and how long it lasts, who are the contributors in each line. So we can look at how many students contributed to that line, writing how many notes, And then we can really look into the idea, like do content-based coding, Is that an idea like a scientific explanation, or is that really a misconception? So we can call the quality of the nature of the idea, but making the comparison in the context of idea thread. So this is, the first step when we did this, is use this kind of structure to examine idea improvement in the collective knowledge space over several months. And when we do this, it really helps us to understand, what's the landscape represented in this area, and then are they really improving their ideas? And when I shared this with Richard, I remember back several years ago, I said, okay, this would be very interesting if we can have students see this, and how they would say that, interpret their work, and even see that how some areas may be short, but they said, okay, we know that, like some of the things related to plants, how light help plants grow. It's a branch of the conversation, but it's not so central to this area. So it's a very short thread, but it's really not a big loss or a big weakness. So we said that probably it would be something interesting to really turn this into a classroom tool, not only a research tool. So in this sense, idea thread mapper can be used by two groups of users. One is, still researchers can use it to classify and index the node in a view or in a set of views, and put them in different lines of inquiry, and then examine idea improvement and the social dynamics in each line or in the interconnected lines. So this will provide the structure for us to examine idea improvement in the collective space. It will be much more efficient than how I did like 10 years ago. I did everything manually. I had set the topic manually, read the note and classify the note manually, and then I even create the visual manually. So now we have the tool to really automate at least some of the component. We can set the topic in the tool. We can search. We can decide whether that's really relevant, screening the node, and then the tool can have it's much more powerful in the visualization than what we can do manually. So this is still the role of the researcher can use it. The another role, of course, we are more interested in is the use of idea thread mapper by teachers and students. As a kind of a lower level design, a basic level design, maybe it can be used only by the teacher. So I'm the teacher. I care about are my students really talking about the content they need to be investigating? So the teacher can actually set up the different the topics or the focuses of inquiry, and then search the relative word into the conversation to find other students talking about these things, and then can map it up. But that would be the kind of a teacher use as a way to assess the collective progress. And we can also look into the individual, like who has been working on what. If some students are never part of any line of work, so probably there is a problem there. We can intervene. So that will be the use only by the teacher. But we need to think about how we can give students more responsibility. That will be a collective use by the community as a whole. The teacher will be part of it. The teacher will work with the student to identify the topics. What are the big things we try to understand? Not decided by the teacher, but by the community, so we can have that conversation. So the teacher will be talking with the student to decide the focuses of inquiry that's already represented in the conversation. And then we will be collectively decide in each area what's the major contributions. When we say major, something has to add something new, a deeper question, a deeper idea, or some helpful information that can help us move forward. So it will be a collective process to review the contributions, and then to reflect on the progress made in each line of work. So in that sense, it will be used by the community with the teacher as a part of it. So we will look at the detailed classroom process, but this is the basic. Our purpose is to support the different group of users. So shall we look at the tool? So we have no more questions. Probably see the detail there. Let me use a development version. By the way, if you're interested in this project, this is our lab's website called tccl.rit.albany.edu. And then under project, you will see this project. So you see all the the publications as well as the link to IDS RAM mapper. Doesn't work. But here, let's go to the development version of this tool, so we can mix around and without causing any problem. So if you formally use this tool, it will be the link is on the website. So you go to that web page, you will find the link to IDS RAM mapper. Here is a development version of ITM Dev. So IDS RAM mapper run on the server hosted in Albany, but it talks to the server of Node Farm anywhere it's installed. So currently, IDS RAM mapper, you can specify a URL where your Node Farm database is hosted, and then you can choose a database that you want to run over. Let's say that this is JICS 2012 to 2013, and so you will be using the same Node Farm username and password to get into IDS RAM mapper into that database. And in the end of the session, if you want to use ITM to look into your own database, I will be happy to work with you to set up the link. It's the link called "Click here to register a new database." Basically, you give us the information of the URL, the database name, and then you have your access. Like you have to have your username password to be validated. And then we sign in. This will come to basically the IDS RAM mapper is not connected to your Node Farm. And within IDS RAM mapper, we first set up a new project. We still use a more kind of generic term, project in a software engineering kind of sense. So item of work. So if we're working on a unit like electricity, so we will be set up a unit like this is electricity. Let's see, 2. And then you specify the teacher and the school and the school year, so that we have an index of all the knowledge building initiative based on year, and then the grade level, and then the knowledge farm group that participated in this knowledge building work. So here I'm going to use an existing one. I just set up the electricity product for publishing. Let's work on we will get to the point of publishing. So this is a product. A product, then under product, the user, the student, and the teacher can set up focuses of inquiry or knowledge building. Say that within this area about electricity, we have really spent some time looking at what's static. They did a lot of experiment looking at what's static electricity. What causes, I don't know, what causes static electricity. So this is a major focus of the community. So we set up this new focus, and then we're going to review the contribution, like what's the node that has been written so far related to static electricity. And the first task is just to have a kind of broad search using different keywords. But that's not the purpose. Eventually, we want to find the node that really adds some new information, new understanding of it. But we can think about, if we talk about this, probably we're going to use the word static. So we search static anywhere in the node or in the node title only, and then found the node in a particular view, like this is from one of the classroom. And these are the nodes that found from that node from database that have used the word like static electricity or static. And then the student as a group, for example, can look into the result of this search and see, this is the node title. And from this view, when we created, first name, last name was masked. But here we can see the first 20 words of the content, but you can also look into the full content of this node to really decide whether this add some substantial information to the understanding of this area. So let's say that seem to be mostly relevant, but maybe a few nodes that look very, I'm not sure which one to exclude, but imagine that there is someone that one of the nodes that really not so substantial, so we can deselect that node, and then we say add to thread, and all the thread will plotted, all the nodes will plotted on a timeline. So this is the beginning point when the students start to talk about static electricity. That's around the end of September, and evolve all the way to November 25. And then we can look at, so this is 8 nodes contributed by 7 authors, and look at, okay, who are the authors? So we can actually show the authors, and then the title of the node, and whether there are any kind of built-on link, or this is all scattered. So we can continue to search more nodes using other keywords, like find more nodes. Maybe they will be using the Leyden jar as the equipment to test static electricity, maybe other term, so that they can find more nodes. And then once this selected into this thread, student can still screen it. So this is a collective space, a collective creation of the representation of a one idea thread. So no matter who started this, any member in that group we specify for this node building work can come here and say, okay, this node really not relevant, so it can remove a node. Or they can say, this node actually is a very helpful node, talking a lot about what we did, experiment we conducted, looking at this problem. So we can highlight a node. So this is among all the nodes related to the topic, but this is also a very important node. So there's a function called highlight. So highlighted node will be shown as a different color. So we can, among the node we selected, we can have a set of node that highlighted. And then if you're interested in a particular kind of a week in this work and want to zoom in and see, okay, what's going on in a particular time period. So you can look into a time period, look at the node, especially when there are a lot of nodes, and they typically kind of overlap, stack of each other, so that you can have a detailed view of the node. So this is the journey of thinking link. So you can look into the content of the node and really look at what's the major problem we try to understand, and then what progress we have made by authoring a journey of thinking synthesis based on the 3 sections. Again, the journey of thinking synthesis is like a wiki kind of page. Anyone started this can be co-edited by anyone from this group. And then there's a page called history that recorded all the historical work of any edit made by any author. So we can we don't have the function to roll back yet, but at least the content there are not lost. So there are some scaffold that can help the student reflect on the journey of thinking. Is this good? Are you following me? So, yeah.
Back a little bit, the idea thread those notes are notes that have, each one of those notes have a particular word. That's why they have the word static.
Right.
That's what first.
Right. That's how the student found it. But they can find, they can use a different keyword to search. But sometimes actually they said, okay, I remember, my peer wrote a very good note about this, but why is not shown on the result? And then we realize it's a misspelling. So we still don't have a way to handle all the misspellings in the search. But they will say, okay, I remember that note. I will that note was authored by someone, so they can search by author and find that note. Or they just show all the note in the view, and you don't type any keyword, but only search that view. They show all the note. So they will be able to find some note that's not in the search.
Does it work to database work with both the new knowledge form and databases with both the old knowledge form and the new knowledge form?
We're still working on the connection with the new knowledge form based on the API under development. That will be the next step. We hope to enable it very soon in this fall.
When you delete the note here, when you see it's not so helpful, for example, you delete it.
Mm-hmm.
Will the note in the knowledge folder be deleted?
No. It's only the kind of index of the node based on idea thread is removed from this thread. Yes.
And what you have demonstrated so far is teacher doing this session, or whatever you have demonstrated so far, the students are able to do the same.
Yeah, students will be able to do the same.
So how do teacher freak, controlling freak, how do we manage when the students are very new and they don't open this up and then we start deleting and putting keywords and went on over?
So
how do we manage the process?
Yeah, we will get to the classroom part, but basically the teacher I work with, typically they will set up one idea thread as example collectively, so they know that this is how what do we mean by idea thread, to talk about it. So what do we mean by one like a big focus of the inquiry or knowledge building? So how do we find the key term to search? When we say whether that's a good contribution, what do we mean by a good contribution? It has to ask either a good question or add some new understanding of it. So they would be talking about the criteria they'll be using in reviewing the progress, and then they work together as a whole class to go through the process to set one idea thread, and then they will have small group to work on other threads. And then I didn't talk about this part, but idea thread has a history too. So anyone who mixed up, you delete a lot of nodes, then other people will think they're good contributions. So all the thread history, each version saved will be recorded here on the thread history. So you can roll back to a historical one.
How far can we move back? How many times do we go back? It's a lot to do.
We don't have. I don't think we set a limit in the system, so I haven't tested.
Another question: if let's say as a class, a single track, the teacher starts first, and as a whole class they discuss and talk about this track. But as the students advance, they are more sophisticated in usage. Can a student form their own group? They create their own track, and teacher will have access.
Yeah.
If they don't add the author in or something like that, I still have access.
Right. That's a classroom design kind of decision. I think it will be a very good decision to allow students to do that. We have a collaborative school back in Albany. This year they did a unit on human body, and a few girls really are interested in how we sing and how we talk, but that's not anywhere in their idea thread list. So they set up their own kind of a topic called vocal cord. They realized the vocal cord that really helped us do that. But no conversation ever really looking at how vocal cord work. So they decided to initiate their own group. They do investigations and they also add a new idea thread on the map. So actually it's a very interesting story.
And then automatically the teacher has access.
Right. And other people start to know, okay, that's actually it's an interesting topic. We don't know anything about that. So the student, so that's a part of the function of idea thread mapper when we have the multi-level representation of the collective knowledge, is that the contributors who typically focus on one or a few areas work, they are familiar with what's going on there. but they are not so much aware of the advances made by other subgroup of people working on other areas. So once we map out all the idea thread, it makes the kind of the whole area so visible. So okay, I haven't done anything in that area, but definitely I should learn something. They will learn something by reading the journey of thinking summary, the synthesis, and they will read at least the highlighting, if not every node. And then the idea thread mapper, one tool we haven't shown is called a node slideshow. So in node from view, oftentimes students find it hard to read all the nodes because it's everywhere spread out in the view. And here, once their idea thread, we have a function called a node slideshow. So you can actually view the node based on the sequence of contribution. And so when you read all this set of nodes, it's all about one overarching kind of focus. It's all about how static electricity works. Not need to worry about, okay, where do I find the node that really contribute to understanding of this line? Yeah.
Is it possible to search in a node 2 keywords, not only one? I mean, because you can put a lot of ideas,
yeah.
But knowledge development is the effect of interaction of ideas together. So,
right. So you can search a combination of words to find that the node that talk about the related, and then we'll see. So the answer is yes. So but we will get to that point of how we see the connection between the different ideas. So any other question about this?
Just a remark. It really points out what Mr. Barreto was talking about yesterday about narratives.
Mm-hmm.
So this tool really helps build the narrative.
Right.
It's incredible.
So this year we did something in Albany with the elementary school there. Typically in the science unit, in the end of the unit, they need some kind of bigger event to say that it's the end of the school year, we have to celebrate something. Oftentimes the final presentation, the science fair, it's a museum sharing, kind of a gallery walk. Something like for the whole community. Maybe it's even cross classroom when you do the same unit, and to really be able to share the knowledge they have learned and celebrate the advances. So this year we use an idea thread kind of structure to organize their final presentation. So this set of posters. If you are expert on one topic, want to share with different classrooms, how they design the poster will be they have the kind of printout of one idea thread about that topic, and the highlighted node. You have to select 3 to 5 nodes that really contribute understanding of that topic, and then use the idea thread, the journey of thinking, basically the 3 kind of section, not using the printout, but use the 3 sections to organize your poster. So what's the things you try to understand? What's the big idea you have learned? If you have more time to work on this topic, what will you do? What's the deeper things you're even wondering? So that it's an interesting way of extending this collective level representation into the face-to-face setting. So they are using this structure, the ways they use to represent their progress in the online space, to structure their activity structure, in the face-to-face presentation. So it's a very, like you said, it's a very interesting kind of narrative. The part response, it's very different from the typical kind of, the presentation kind of event they typically see.
Can multiple users use this particular software at the same time? Like in a classroom situation, different users actually
work
at the same time.
Right. Different groups can work on it. Different users can work on it. Different classroom can be using at the same time. Working on different databases. So
if I delete a
simultaneous,
someone else can put it back on right away.
Oh, you mean the same idea thread?
Yeah.
Same idea thread.
You have to refresh.
Have to refresh. So you have to refresh. Maybe the last question at this point, and then we can get to more questions later.
Question. So how do you plot those nodes on the y-axis? Vertical axis.
What's the y-axis?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Meihua, are you there?
Yeah.
So I remember we make quite a few kind of decisions about the y-axis in one idea thread. Do you remember how we actually decide how we place that?
What do you mean y-axis?
Like the vertical position of one node in the idea thread visual. How whether it's actually be on the top or near the bottom of the near the timeline.
Is it the number of words?
I forgot exactly. Shweta made the decision.
The number of words, maybe?
I think
Different the same student. If you those notes are produced by the same student, maybe it should be the.
That would be a very helpful way of designing it. I'm sure it's not that way now, but it's a good decision, good suggestion.
Yeah.
Maybe allow people to choose between like contribution length, maybe like on Google Public Data where you can choose what your axes mean. That would be nice.
Yeah. Or maybe it's some kind of a quality indicator that the better quality node will be on the top. Will be another way.
Yeah, that could be done.
That'd be interesting.
Jingwei, I'm more thinking about working in a network type of situation in different locations. If students in different locations working on this particular thread at the same time, is it possible?
If ITM is organizing the node based on the databases, so if there's students from different locations working in the same node from database,
if they want to actually work on this at the same time,
they can do that.
They can using same user word, password.
Their own username, password of node form. So the username we use to get in node form, we also get in here to create the thread.
Just a really quick question about privacy. If someone is using this upload all of the notes from that database into some other central location, that then what if someone could, as the teacher, you wanted when you were done to not have anyone else be able to access this? How does that work?
So currently, ITM, that issue is not so critical to ITM because ITM basically follows the structure of node form. So in node form, you have access to the node. In ITM, you also have access to it. So that's a school thing. So if you have decided a whole school building sharing one database, then the student from different classrooms will be able to access the different views. So the same access you will have here. So if the school don't think that's a problem, right? So it's fine for the student from different classroom, different section, to see the node from other classroom. Then idea thread mapper still allow that. But if you decide to to have the student work in different databases, so one group of students working on this cannot see the work of other students because they're in a different database, require different username password. You don't have access to it. Then in idea thread mapper, that limitation is maintained. So this is basically the same kind of privacy or user credential information control follow node form. But the next step we're working on would be really make the idea thread created by different classrooms shareable across node form databases. Then that it will become a major issue. We just went through the IRB, the ethical review process. The basic agreement we made is that we need to carefully review all user information. So when you share your thread with other classrooms, by default, all user information, first name, last name, username, user ID, all those information will be maxed out, will be replaced with a number, unless you go through some kind of consent process to really have the consent from parent from student. But that will be and then we also need to Meihua is also working on some kind of automated kind of process to replace names in case they mention in the node. So it's not like in the system data, but it's a manually input into the node. So we need to replace those kind of unsynchronous student with some kind of a mechanism. So that's it's a practical thing, but it's very important. Okay, shall we move on and leave more questions in the end for a later point? Oh, it's already 9:50. So this is one idea thread, and you can save the idea thread And then yesterday I created 2 other threads. So we see how batteries work, how magnets work, and then what causes static electricity. So these are the different idea threads that we have created, let's say if we, as a classroom. And we, of course, there will be other idea threads. But then we want to see, what's the collective kind of a landscape of our work in this whole area. So there's a function called map. So we can select this idea thread that we want to plot on the same timeline. Let's say select all, and then show map. So this will be mapping all the idea thread on the same timeline. So each color stripe represents one idea thread. So this is the focus of that work. And then 43 notes written about batteries by 21 authors, altogether 23 students in this room. So you see that almost everyone has been talking about battery or contributing to battery. And now you see, when it started and what's the latest contribution. The same thing that you can show the title, of course, it's going to be messier, and show the author, and then show the build-on link within each idea thread as well as across. So you see that it's interesting. Some idea thread, some node related to a battery actually have a build-on link with a node in the static electricity. I'm not sure what's exactly there. But you see that the build-on link. And then you can mouse over to see a preview of that node. And you can open that thread by clicking the title of it. And the journey of thinking is also here. So you can look at that thread. Also, you can open the journey of thinking just to see what's going on in that thread. And you can show this is a cross-thread connection. So we visualize 2 types of cross-thread connection. One is build-on. To see, the node from one line actually build on the node from another line. And the other cross-thread connection is called common node. So one node has been identified as a contribution to 2 areas. So you see that the vertical dashed lines represent the shared node between different threads. So this node happened to be talking about batteries as related to magnet. So it's an electrical magnetic field, that kind of experiment. And then you see that this node has been talking about static electricity as well as magnet, as well as battery. So this node belongs to 3 threads, but it's actually our problem. It's a summary of our problem at this point. This is a very late point, almost near the end of the unit. So they're putting together all the problems they have about electricity. So this node actually connect to the different area. And this is a visual of to show the shared node. So there are 5 nodes shared between how magnets work and how batteries work. And so this is a stronger connection. And you can see only show the build-on link. So which node build on to which. And this is a pie chart, a simple pie chart, just show the intensity of the contribution to the different area. It's a very simple graph, but students found it very helpful. They didn't realize actually we have, that area has, attracted so much interest and so much contribution in the conversation. So this is just a kind of a quick way of showing the map of the different idea thread as a way to reflect on the progress. Okay. 2 questions. Yeah.
Is it really an idea map or is it a word map? Because it is only what you work on. There are the nodes which contain a particular word. So it's actually the traveling of a word. Is that the same as the journey of an idea?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is there might be more connections with other nodes which don't have the words.
Right, right. So basically, the word search is a tool. It's not the purpose. We're not doing like a comprehensive kind of search to know the landscape of the ideas. But it's oftentimes it's an easier way to find an idea by searching word. But since I agree with you, you having that word doesn't mean that you have a good idea. Oftentimes you use that word, it's only like mentioning it instead of really talking about it.
So you need actually that some qualitative analysis.
Right. So one thing that currently we rely on the student reflection. So when you do the search, it's the student kind of decision to really decide whether that's a good contribution. Not, oftentimes students tend to do this, but we try to work with the student more to do it more seriously or carefully. Like, don't think that that no has the word mean that no should be included. Oftentimes, when the student need to decide whether they can learn something from this note, whether that really help other members.
And that would be why a note would be deleted from the list of notes that appear after the search.
Right.
So it allows students to really think about which ones are dealing with an identity and have the word misused or in a list, not really contributing to that.
Right.
So it puts the student or teacher in that role of really determining, assessing.
Right, right. That process, at this point, take quite some time, but it's worthwhile. It's a high quality kind of a metacognition to really be able to reflect on the quality of the contribution in the community. It takes some time. And then at this point, we are that's the next phase. We already tested some kind of automated analysis of the quality of the node using like a LDA, something equivalent to LSA, but yeah, right. And we use LDA to look at the content. And we also, in the next phase of this grant, we are collaborating with Caroline Rosie at Carnegie Mellon University. And she has developed quite some very interesting work looking at classification of online discourse based on categories. So I'm working with her to design a new way of coding in the system to code the contribution, to code online discourse based on the type and quality of a contribution. Is that a good question? Is that a good theory? Is that good evidence? Something like that. So that will, in addition to the keyword, you also have something additional to help the student make that, reflection more easily.
I really like your comment, though, your question about word or versus idea. And I think for us at our school, we're thinking that, well, first of all, this has just been a huge breakthrough for our teachers and our students. But I think the notion of knowledge purpose, this allows our content for them to actually easily access the discussion about the purpose of this knowledge. And it's so holistic, as you were saying earlier. It touches so deeply on the social, the cognitive, and the temporal. So I get to have this conversation because of the word search, perhaps we could say. But it goes so much deeper than that immediately. The students aren't satisfied with that. They want that sense of purpose, and the teachers do it for us too. So it's just been a huge gateway opened up for them to be able to have that conversation.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, in terms of kind of assessment, is there a way we can track a student's progression of his ideas individually? Since you have a timeline, can you get quality of the note based on static key search? How has this student been progressing? So I can write a report or something.
That we, yeah.
Next version?
Yep, next word. So we can generate a report of the student based on the, what's the area you have contributed so far, and what's the area you are key member. Not only adding one note, but you really almost half, of the note written by you. That'd be a key kind of expert in the area. It would be very interesting to do that.
Is it possible to apply social network analysis to analyze the connection between ideas?
Yeah, we have the design, but we haven't got the time to implement that. It's a social ideas thread network. So you have 20 students in the classroom. You have 12 or 15 idea threads to look at which student contribute to which area. You can set stress threshold. Not only one note, but at least you need to add 2 or 10% of the note to be recognized as an expert. Something like that. So it will be a social thread kind of a network analysis. It will be very interesting. We need to find more time to work on that. It will be it'd be nice to, if some of you want to work on that, we can work together. Okay, Richard.
I just wanted to say, when working in our context, elementary school up to 6th grade, there's always a balance between having children think about thinking and doing thinking. And so sometimes, enough about this. I just want to do that. I just want to learn about light or the human body. But I would hesitate making it too slick in the sense that if the idea is, you press one button and the the timeline is created, it's the process of going through the notes again and identifying which notes are valuable, which ones are not. That process has so many good, rich byproducts for the students, not just in determining the story of the knowledge creation, but also in the future work that the community will do. And so I think we need to, although it's interesting to explore deeper how to make this more seamless, the process in doing this, I think, is very, very valuable for the community itself, and finding, creating discussions for the group members. So just something to keep in mind, determining that balance.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think, my 3 graphs would have been very different. We maybe would have had only 2 graphs if we had this back then.
Yeah, I think this is where the interest of the researcher and the teacher may part company. Because strictly from the research standpoint, you'd like things automated and reproducible as possible. But I quite agree with you, Richard. Here you have what makes this kind of situation different is that the authors of the notes are right there. So they know what they wrote.
Right.
And if they isn't in a thread where they think it deserves a place, well, they can go back and say, oh, well, I misspelled that kind of thing. So a lot of good work is possible based on the fact that the authors are there.
I think that it could be, if it could be possible, to distill the two things. One is the process, and I think that the process is individual ideas, collective ideas, and shared problems. This is the process. But this is not a level of knowledge, because we start from, for example, level 0, and then we have a process.
Mm-hmm.
When we arrive to shared problem, and then we have a big idea we have learned, this is another level. And from there, another level. I don't know if it's possible to implement this kind of, and then the process is iterative. On a level that may be
right.
process. So I think there are two things in the problem. This is the way to study this.
Right. To either to categorize or to visualize. Yeah.
And I think that in the big problem that we have learned that to be there, also to have a qualitative analysis. So just not together, just put together ideas and then.
Right. So we're running out the session, but can we maybe just quickly kind of tell you something about the next step very quickly, and then we're going to. Oh no! Try to enjoy the music.
It's time to go.
Okay. Just to wrap up. So you see that currently we are implementing this multiple level of representation, and then when we secured a new National Science Foundation grant, our next step in collaborating with several teams, we will look at how we can make collective knowledge further accessible and buildable across communities. So basically, when you have the idea thread set up in each of the community, doing your own work, continually advancing your idea, you can, in that process, you can selectively say publish a productive idea thread. And once published, that line of work will be accessible to other communities. And that layer, an even higher layer in the collective knowledge space, will be accessible to different classrooms working on related content areas, and then even across school years. So next year, the student can actually start their knowledge building in the area with a few ideas spread from the past as reference, so that we can adopt a few ideas spread in a local space. And then as you work on that, you will publish more. So I hope that you go through this multi-layer design of collective knowledge, so we can actually build a more sustained cycle for sustained idea improvement. So that's our the next step. If you have any input and interest, and how we can better do this, I'd love to hear more from you. Thank you.
From